Solo, the new Star Wars film directed by Ron Howard and starring Alden Ehenrich and Donald Glover. Now, this film is an Origins film, and it is the second Origins film to come up from the Lucasfilm camp. The first one being the acclaimed Rogue One, which was released in 2016. Now, in Solo, we get to see a young Solo played by Alden Ehenrich, and we basically find out everything about him in terms of how he became a smuggler, how he met up with Chewbacca, his first encounter with Lando Calrissian, and also how he got to pilot easily the best spaceship ever, the Millennium Falcon. Now, folks, let me tell you what I love most about this film. Anybody who plays an iconic character like Han Solo has their work cut out for him. And Alden Ehenrich wasn't as bad as I thought he was going to be. In fact, he did very well. Now, whilst he didn't convey the same level of charisma or likability that Han Solo's portrayal was, he did enough to get the job done, and I found him to be one of the more redeeming factors in this film. Also, what I love most about this film is that for hardcore Star Wars fans, there is a lot to keep you entertained with this film. For many people who found Rogue One to be too dark in its tone, or The Last Jedi to be too long in its narrative or too emotionally heavy, this film harks back to the escapism of the previous Star Wars entries. There are cracking action sequences, great dialogue between the characters, and the interaction between Han Solo and the young Lando Calrissian is beautiful. And, there is a lot to keep people entertained and a lot to make people think, okay, this is how this happened, and I get to understand why. Also, one of the high points of this film was seeing Chewbacca and Han Solo and their first encounter together and how these two got to meet up. And let me tell you, it was a real treat. Seeing how it happened, hearing Han Solo speak to Chewie in his native dialect, it made for a really, really great comedic sequence in this film. And it was one of the high points of this film. Also, you're going to be hearing a lot about this young man in the near future. Donald Glover. His interpretation of Lando Calrissian was off the charts. And let me tell you, this young man has swag coming out of every part of his body. And let me tell you, he did a phenomenal job. This young man has proven himself to be as talented a musician as he is an actor. And he did very well. His interpretation up there is right up there with Billy D. Williams. The way that he catches the nuances, the style, the dialogue, the voice, it was beautiful. And if you close your eyes for one moment, you would actually think it was actually Billy D. Williams acting and not Donald Glover. Also, one of the high points of this film was the writing. Now, this film was written by Lawrence Kasdan and his son John Kasdan. Now, Lawrence Kasdan, easily one of the best writers out there. He wrote Empire Strikes Back, he wrote Return of the Jedi, and he wrote one of my favourite films, Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark. Now, what I love most about this film is that he gives clever nods to the Empire Strikes Back, which add more weight to certain scenes. So you will see certain scenes in this film, and then when you see it, you'll think, oh, I get it. That's a reference to Empire Strikes Back, and that's how that works, and that's where it links into the film. And it was a very, very clever nod, by the way. Also, the score. I love musical scores in their films, and I'll definitely say that this film has two of the best musical composers. The iconic John Williams, who's done everything from Indiana Jones to the Star Wars franchise to Superman. You've got the old school Star Wars music in this film, which works a treat, and then you've got John Barry, who did the Bourne films, and you've got his interpretation, and his musical score is really, really good in this film. There's some original music in this film, and there's also some original set music for the set pieces, which helps tell the story more beautifully, and it does work a treat. With that being said though, in addition to a supporting cast, there are a few down points to this film. Every film is flawed, and there are some flaws in this film. Number one, this film does take a while to get going. Now, you've heard a lot about this film, and it was plagued by production issues. Steve Lamont and Chris Miller, who were the original directors on this film, were fired due to creative differences with Lucasfilm. And then Lucasfilm hired Ron Howard to reshoot most of the film, and he did about 80% of this film. And, you can see that it does lag in certain parts. It does take a while to get going, but it works in certain scenes, and then after a few other scenes, it does drag on a little bit. And I think that this is a problem where you've got two different directors entering into films. You don't know where one starts and where one finishes, and the two stars sometimes don't mix up with one another. Like with Justice League, which was directed by two different directors. Also, I found the villain to be a bit flat. Paul Bettany is an excellent actor. We know him, as Vision in the Avengers films. And he also played the albino villain in the Da Vinci Code. But in this film, I found it to be a bit flat. He wasn't menacing enough, and he didn't add anything to this film at all. Compared to previous villains, be it, you know, Darth Vader, be it the Emperor. He just didn't add anything to this film at all, and I found it to be one of the more weaker elements in this film. Also, as a film, you know, a lot of people said that it just doesn't add anything to the franchise, and you know what? It doesn't. You know, this film was an enjoyable piece, but for me as a film goer, I wasn't exhilarated and excited as I was when I saw The Force Awakens, and I wasn't pleasantly surprised to have the wow factor when I saw Rogue One. When Rogue One was released, my question was, where does this film fit within the narrative of the Star Wars universe? Bearing in mind that, you know, none of the previous characters from The Force Awakens would be in this film, but when I saw it and I saw the ending, I was like, wow. You know, it didn't, you know, Solo didn't do that for me. I just thought, okay, entertaining film, did the job. And you'll find that for hardcore Star Wars fans, a lot of you will say, you know what, this could be one of the weaker entries into the Star Wars universe. But with that being said, for a watch, for a film that can give you entertainment, this film does that. You know, it's not the best entry into the Star Wars universe, but again, it is a film that you can watch and, you know, enjoy. So that is my review of Star Wars. I will give this film 6 out of 10. You know, is this one to watch? Star Wars fans? Yes. Not Star Wars fan? Why not? Take your family to see it. You'll all enjoy it. Is it one for the DVD collection? If you've got a few hours to spare? Why not? So that's my review. Feel free to subscribe to this channel. Follow me on Instagram and Facebook. Feel free to comment. Let me know what your favourite Star Wars film is, and I shall see you on the next film review. Take care.